Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches. I'm Pete McConville. A really quick video today. I'm going to talk about the things that stop me from buying a watch. My deal breakers when I'm looking at a watch. The first one is I won't buy a fake or a counterfeit watch. Every YouTuber that's ever done a video like this says the same thing, and I'm just going to parrot the same ones. Supporting crime gangs, kidding yourself, kidding other people, destroying the industry that we all love. Not going to do it. Number two, I personally won't buy a replica watch, and by a replica I mean something like those Steinhart GMTs or Steinhart sub replicas, where the designer clearly had a real one sitting next to him and he's just saying, how can I recreate this in every way other than have the word Rolex on the dial. Why won't I buy them? Because for me it just means every time I look at my watch I'd be reminded that I really did want to buy something else, but I just couldn't afford it. And perhaps, to be really frank, I also don't want everyone else looking at my watch and thinking, oh, poor guy, he really wanted a Rolex but couldn't afford it. Now, some of you are going to be saying, who cares what other people think, just buy what you love. Okay, for me, that's BS. You know, the reality is I do care about what other people think. That's why I'm here with a YouTube channel. That's why I keep asking for likes and subscribes. Like and subscribe this video while we're here. And so let's be really clear before I move on. For me, a fake watch and a replica watch are different things. A replica watch and a homage watch are different things. Too many YouTubers murder the English language by collapsing those three categories into two. I'm going to do a whole video on that later. Okay, so the third kind of watch that I really will not buy is a watch I don't care about. A watch has to say something, either to me or to other people when I'm wearing it. There's got to be a reason to buy it. So I can accept watches with flaws. I can accept watches that tried to do something but failed, but I can't accept a watch that doesn't try and do anything. And there's too many watches out there that just are boring. And really, ultimately, this is where fashion watches completely fall down and why I really can't see myself going that way. You know, if the designers clearly don't give a shit about the watch, I'm not going to, and I'm not going to spend my money on it. Paradoxically, the next category is I won't buy a watch I care about too much. And what I mean by that is I need to be able to get my watches and wear my watches and take my watches wherever I want, whenever I want. I want to be able to get up in the morning, walk into the study, break out my watch box, look at the weather, think about my schedule for the day and pick a watch that fits. The idea that I have to think ahead and figure out when am I going to get to a storage facility, when am I going to get out of a bank vault, not going to happen. Likewise, the idea that I'm going to look at my watches and go, oh, well, you know, that one's resale value is probably too much and I don't want to scratch it. No, not going to happen. So if I have to care too much about the watch so that I can't make it do whatever the hell I want to do when I want to do it, then that watch is not happening. Those are kind of the big philosophical things that would stop me from buying a watch. Are there little things? Are there things, individual bits within the design that'll stop me buying a watch? You bet your sweet beepy there are. And here's a bunch of them. So, personally, I don't like moon phases. I don't own a watch with a moon phase, and I don't think I ever will. It's just not my style. It doesn't speak to me, and it doesn't say anything about me I want said. What is it about the moon phase? I think it's probably a little bit prissy, a little bit flouncy. It just doesn't feel like who I am. There is one well, there probably are a couple of exceptions to this, but I'm going to put one of them up, which is the A-Lang and Zerner one. And maybe that's when it's the moon phase stops being a thing on the watch and becomes the watch. You might have crossed the line there that I can actually take. The next thing is I will not do date magnifiers or Cyclops lenses. Don't own a watch with one, won't own a watch with one. If there's children in the room, they're about to get an anatomy lesson. In Australia, we have a colloquialism for an anus, and that is the date. If you ever see a date, you'll see why. And I think that works for dates on watches as well. Just like an anus, a date window is incredibly useful and you're really glad of it when you need it, but you don't want to look at it unless you absolutely have to. And in exactly the same way as I've never looked at someone and said, geez, they look good, wish I could see their anus, I've never looked at a watch face and said, geez, that's gorgeous, I wish the date was bigger. It just doesn't work that way. Date magnifiers and Cyclops lenses are an abomination, and I'll never own one. Which brings me to open hearts, which are almost the opposite in a sense, in that an open heart is kind of just nothing. No, it's like I'm not taking a stand. I kind of want to show you the movement, but I don't really want to. It's kind of half-arsing it. If you want me to see the movement, go big and skeletonize, or go home. But open hearts just smack to me of not trying hard enough. Which brings me to the next one of I won't buy a deliberately illegible watch. I can compromise with the idea that watches won't make it easy for you to see the time. I've got a vintage Alpina where it's just one face, two hands, no numerals, no markings, and time is always at best approximate. I can kind of cope with that one. What I'm talking about here are those deliberately murdered out black on black watches where everything's there. They can show you the time, but they've chosen to make it really hard for you to see. I just can't do that. To make it clear that I'm not just piggybacking on brands I don't like very much, I'm going to show a watch from my favorite brand here, Alpina, and you can see an example of exactly what they've done. That doesn't mean I don't like the blacked out watch. Here's an example from Breitling, which I really love and is on my my list of watches to buy in the next year or two. So I like blacked out watches. I like watches where maybe telling the time can be a little ambiguous, but the idea that you're just going to black everything out so I can't see it, I'm sorry, I'm never ever going to buy that watch. And the last thing, this last one is a little bit embarrassing because it marks me out to be a complete pedant and pain in the ass. And I'm probably even on some levels factually wrong, but I don't care. I cannot buy a watch that commits this sin. And the sin is having the wrong number for the Roman numeral 4. The Roman numeral 4 is IV. It is not II. I've been taught that from primary school, and every time I see a watch face or a watch dial or a clock face with that II, a little part of me pukes into the back of my mouth. I will not wear that on my wrist. If you're strong enough to do so, all power to you, but I can't. So those are the 9 things that stop me from buying a watch. Some of them are big philosophical huge issues. Some of them are tiny, pissy, and probably say more about me than I should put out on the net. But that's how it is. I'd be really interested to hear from some of you, if there's anyone who sees this video, about what are the things that stop you, or what are your attitudes to the things that stop me, and maybe you've got some advice for how I could get past it. Anyway, if this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.